Alright. Oh, ew! It's actually not that bad. I want to try it.
Yeah, told you. Come on, Ben, you can do it.
Alright. Oh! Oh, me! What? You're making me scared. I don't want to go in there.
Well, you better. You gotta go in.
It's strong gravy.
What?
Ooh.
Oh, God.
I hit it with my chin again. It's so cold and slimy.
This is so nasty and it's such big chunks. The chunks are so big. What animal would be confused enough to eat this?
Please, do not eat dog food. And enjoy the presentation. Group 2's presentation is over the phrase eating our own dog food, which can be found in Chapter 2, pages 49 through 54. Group 2 consists of Deborah Curtis, Logan England, and Jessica Finos. We'll also discuss how dog fooding was used to create this textbook and how it can be used in other industries. Dog fooding is the process of using a product or idea that you developed or promote. It arose in the 1980s in the software industry when someone observed that a company wasn't using the product they had developed. This made the product seem less reliable. Wikipedia attributes the term to Brian Valentine, test manager for Microsoft LAN in 1988. Whatever its origin, if, of their own accord, employees choose to dog food their own product or ideas, many believe the product or idea is likely to succeed. So you may be asking, so what? Dog fooding makes a product seem more trustworthy. For example, Apple required its employees to use computers in 1980. They announced that the typewriter was obsolete, and that ended up changing the mindset of all their employees and eventually the country. Dog fooding can also weed out problems that wouldn't have been detected during initial testing. If a lot of people are using the product, then problems will arise that wouldn't have arisen until the product was in the market. Unfortunately, this doesn't always work because the creators know the product best, so they may not have the same problems that the general public may have. So dog feeding as product testing isn't always 100% reliable. This diagram shows the process that transforms a draft chapter in Word, PowerPoint, and PNG image format into PDF pages. We'll learn more about the process diagrams in Chapter 12, but for now, just realize that each column represents the activity taken by a role, which in this case is a particular person. The process starts with the thin line circle on the top left and ends with the thick line circle near the bottom right. The dashed lines represent the flow of data from one activity to another. The authors work closely with the development editor, who ensures that the text is completed and complies with the market requirements as specified by the acquisitions editor. Face-to-face meetings are impossible because the people fulfilling the roles live in different geographic locations. In the past, the developmental process was conducted using the phone, email, and a file server. As you can imagine, considerable confusion can ensue with the hundreds of documents, art exhibits, and multiple reviewed copies of each. Task requests that are delivered via email are easily lost. Dropped tasks and incorrect versions of documents are not uncommon. The process of creating this textbook was obviously very complicated, and the systems of communication that were in place were not as efficient as they could have been. The creators needed a new way to communicate and to work together to create a quality educational document. So, when they decided to begin publishing a new edition of this textbook every year, they knew they needed to find some way of increasing the productivity. The development team decided to eat its own dog food and use Office 365 Professional. During this process, the author, the development editor Laura Town, and the production editors Denise Vaughn and Judy Leal met frequently using Google Hangouts. The above picture shows a typical hangout. Notice that the 3 actors in this process are sharing a common whiteboard. Each can write or draw on that whiteboard. At the end of the meeting, the whiteboards were saved and placed on the team's SharePoint site to be used as minutes of the meeting. So this is the SharePoint development site. The quick launch, which is on the left side vertical menu, has links to important content on the site, and the center portion has tasks that have a value other than completed for status. Here's an example email from SharePoint. So the team set up alerts so that when new tasks were created in the task list, SharePoint would send an email to the person who had been assigned the task. Shown in the picture above, emails were also sent to a task's creator when the task status was changed by others. This is the first draft document library contents and Chapter 6 version history. So all documents and figures are stored and managed in SharePoint libraries. In the left picture, you can see the contents of the draft documents Chapter 2 library at the time this chapter was written. By storing documents in SharePoint, the team took advantage of library version tracking. Shown in the right picture is a portion of the version history of one of the documents in the library. Finally, when this is completed, Laura will need to review the chapter, so a task should be created asking her to do so. That new task will spawn an email to her, like the email from the example email from the SharePoint slide. Using Office 365, which they are also writing about in the book itself, the team was able to bypass all the difficulties of completing a project from different geographic locations. The program organized their documents, kept them up to date on what tasks needed to be completed, and best of all, gave them the ability to discuss and share ideas in a way that closely mirrors face-to-face communication. One of the benefits of knowing that this textbook was completed in this way is the confidence that comes from learning a program from people who have experienced its value from beginning to end. This is a great example of dog fooding and a great way to promote the value of Office 365. So that's an example of dog fooding. The creators of this textbook used the software that they were promoting in order to create the textbook. To think beyond what we learned in Chapter 2, how could other businesses do the same thing? Let's think about how other companies could and do use dog fooding to encourage and promote the use of their products. When it comes to companies using the word dog fooding, we think of it used mainly within software companies. Another application could be used in the automobile industry. An example we thought of was Tesla electric cars. In the case of Tesla, if higher-ups were required to drive Tesla cars in order to promote them and test them, this would be an example of dog fooding. Some more examples would be Zillow.com, which is a real estate company. In this case, employees must find the best real estate deal in their area. They are then given virtual currency, and then they use their products and competing products to make their investment decisions. When a company like this understands their own products, they can better help their customers to understand them. Moz is a search engine optimization company. In this case, each team member sets up a blog and must use the company's tools to make it rank the highest a couple of weeks later. In this way, they use dog fooding to create a competitive incentive in order to improve performance. Tableau is a data visualization company. A leader selects a dataset, and everyone is encouraged to find gems in the dataset. The fastest, most interesting insight wins. This is another example of that competitive incentive to improve performance. Why might other businesses use the same software as mentioned in previous slides? We're talking, of course, of Office 365, which can make working together, sharing, and editing important information much easier when employees are unable to meet face-to-face. This can help create a better way to increase one's productivity. A business is able to store and manage all documents in one library, and having one location where all documents are stored allows employees to find needed documents easier and faster. However, the biggest reason to use this software is the ease of communication. As the business world becomes more and more global rather than regional, long-distance communication is creating more of a challenge. Having easy-to-use software to combat this problem will prove to individuals and companies that teams consisting of people from all over the world are able to work together to accomplish similar goals. This is our Works Cited page. Thank you so much for watching our presentation. We hope you learned a lot about dog fooding today and that you're able to use these ideas in your future business lives.